All right, today we're jumping into a really challenging topic, one that comes straight out of the book of Revelation, but feels like it was written for our time: the problem of the lukewarm church. So, let's just start with a question that gets right to the heart of it all. Is your comfort costing you your conviction? And that's not just some throwaway line. It's a serious challenge for all of us to take a hard look past the surface and get real about where we actually stand. Okay, first up, let's diagnose what's being called the lukewarm condition. Now, this isn't some new concept, but wow, does it feel incredibly relevant for the church today. So what does lukewarm even mean here? Well, it's this state of spiritual complacency. Think about it like this. Hot water can be therapeutic, right? It can heal and cleanse. And a glass of cold water? Man, that is so refreshing. But lukewarm water? It's just useless. It doesn't really do anything. This isn't about being some big rebel against God. It's about being in this dangerous middle ground of being spiritually ineffective. And the warning from Revelation is anything but subtle. It is incredibly direct. Because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. That's not a mild suggestion. It's a visceral, physical rejection of a state that is literally nauseating to God. So you have to ask, how does a church, or even one of us, get to this place? Well, it starts with an illusion. It's a deep self-deception that's totally rooted in comfort, just like it was for the ancient church of Laodicea. The church in Laodicea looked at itself and saw nothing but success. Their self-talk was, I am rich, I've done well for myself, I don't need a thing. They completely mixed up their financial wealth with their spiritual health. And here's the gut punch. The direct parallel to today. So many churches, and so many of us, make the exact same mistake. We've mistaken material blessing for spiritual approval. We're measuring success by the size of our buildings, our budgets, how many people show up, not by how deeply we're being transformed. This quote from David Wilkerson just hits you right between the eyes. Let this sink in for a second. If the Holy Spirit were taken from the church today, 95% of what we do would go on and no one would know the difference. All our programs, our busyness, our activities, they can look like life, but they can also be a mask, hiding a serious lack of real spiritual power. So we've seen the self-deception, this confusion of activity with actual spiritual life. Now let's pull back the curtain and look at the unfiltered, divine reality that completely shatters that comfortable reputation. And here it is, God's assessment. The contrast is just breathtaking. Where they saw themselves as rich and self-sufficient, the divine diagnosis was the absolute opposite. You are wretched, pitiable, poor, blind, and naked. It's a total demolition of their self-image. But, and this is so important, this isn't the final word of condemnation. Look at this verse. Those whom I love, I reprove and discipline. This incredibly harsh rebuke is actually an act of deep, profound love. It's the kind of discipline that's meant to wake someone up, to bring them back. All right, so the diagnosis is clear, and we know the loving reason behind it. Now we can finally turn to the cure for the spiritual sickness. What's the prescription? The solution comes in three parts. First, get gold refined by fire. This is a faith that's been tested, that's real, not just something you say you have. Second, get white garments. This is about living a life of actual purity and holiness that covers up our spiritual shame. And third, use eye salve to heal our spiritual blindness so we can finally see things the way God sees them. You see, the cure isn't trying harder. It's about surrender. And this brings us to the final image in this whole passage. And honestly, it might be the most powerful one of all. It's a personal, urgent invitation from Jesus himself. I'm sure we've all heard this verse before, right? Behold, I stand at the door and knock. But here's the part we often miss, the context. Jesus isn't knocking on the door of some random unbeliever's heart. He's knocking on the door of his own church, a church that has somehow locked him out. And that really highlights the core tragedy of being lukewarm. It's not shocking that the world ignores him. I mean, we kind of expect that. The real tragedy, the heartbreaking part, is that his own people, through their comfort, their busyness, their self-sufficiency, have left him standing on the outside. So after all of this, we're left with one final question that brings it all back home. This isn't about pointing fingers at the church out there. It's about you. It's about me. What door in your life, in your heart, have you kept closed?